Now, you were in a unique situation because your mother's also a doula.
Right.
And your mother has worked with BYD for a number of years and
Yes.
recently retired. So this was not a new concept to you specifically.
I'd heard, honey, watch out for the placenta on the back seat, growing up. And so, no, I definitely, all of the terminology, all of the language was familiar. So had an edge there.
And being a medic.
Right, yeah. Being a medic, background in the military, being a medic, the understanding of what was going on was all there. So my composure was there, but never dealing with this and my wife being in pain and being in it uncomfortable for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
That was the unknown.
Yeah.
How do you support somebody? You feel helpless sitting there not knowing what you can do. If you weren't there, I would have been like, all right, we're moving to the ball, we're doing this, we're changing it up, we're changing positions. And what you're really good at is changing the focus, changing what you get into a rhythm, right? And you get comfortable with it. And then that pain starts creeping in again. And when you see it, you're like, all right, we're moving this way. And then you refocus attention elsewhere. So a bit of a distraction and changing what you're focusing on the whole way through. I mean, she was getting through for 6 hours.
Yeah. She had a beautiful labor. She listened perfectly to the pushing coaching, the doc and I thought that was pretty seamless with the nurses and the docs
Your
because they
integration.
had never.
Your integration, it was like choreographed, watching a dance. It's seriously the ballet. Like they practice and practice and practice and practice, and then the show. And thousands of people get to watch that show. That's what it was like watching you interact with the doctors. It was choreographed. You said, "Hey doc, do you mind if I? All right, Sophie, we're moving. We're gonna move you. We're gonna center you on the bed. We're gonna get you upright about 40 degrees. Doc, is this okay?" Doc looks over and she goes, "Yeah." Thank you, Ursula. And the doctor, they just did this dance around each other, choreographed.
And the nurses as well. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a really seamless, from my perspective as well.
It was.
Sophie, had you ever heard of a doula before?
Before
Lawrence?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of midwives. I don't think I ever heard of a doula.
Okay.
So that was a little bit new to me. I know my mom, I thought she had a midwife for my
did.
youngest brother.
Yes.
And she had him at home. So I knew that existed and happened. I didn't know what the extent of it was, and especially more of that doula role as opposed to the midwife role. But again, looking back on it and being finally there and actually hearing so many moms saying like, you're alone for most of it. Again, looking back on it, granted my sense of time was a little off for some of it.
Always.
But looking back on it, it would have been very different and I think much more challenging, not as seamless. And especially, talking about his medical background, I actually like that I think he could be a little bit more of like my partner, her husband, as opposed to the medic in the room. Because I know if we didn't have Ursula, you would have been more in that medic coach mode. And I would have loved.
That's the reason we went with
Yes.
Ursula and not my mom.
Yes.
Because we wanted her to be mom mode, and she would have been there professionally. And how do you step out of your profession for your kids?
It's hard to play both roles and do
Right.
both roles well.
Right.
And this allowed her to be in grandma mode.
Yeah.
And at the same time know you guys were being taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
So hence you hired a doula to come